Top tier trading team, we're up at the bell. Hey. Coffee in a paper cup, chasing that swell. Screens glow green like a Friday dream. We ride that chart like a rodeo scene. Living set tight, got a plan on the path. Gap up open, yeah, the pullback's red. We don't chase candles, we just track that flow. Risk real small, let the winners grow. Top tier trading team, raise your hands. Stacking those gains like a rock and brass band. From the pit to the porch to the island sand. We buy that dip, let the bull run stand. Top tier trading team, hear that shout. Cut that loss, flip fear to clout. One good trade, that's what we're about. Top tier trading team, we break out. Call on the calls when the trend runs right. Put on the puts when it tanks all night. Delta in my denim, charts in my boots. Reggae in my veins and the blues in my roots. Red day, green day, same old song. We dance that draw down, we don't stay long. Stop gets hit, yeah, we tip our hat. Next clean setup, we load up on that. Top tier trading team, raise your hand. Stacking those gains like a rock and brass band. From the pit to the porch to the island sand. We buy that dip, let the bull run stand. Top tier trading team, feel that fire. Break those chains of a dead end high. Chart that path, climb tick by tick higher. Top tier trading team, never tired. Early bells and midnight scans, we turn those slips into stronger hands. Every loss a lesson, every chart a map. We fall, we rise. We tighten that strap. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Eyes on the candle, heart on the plan. We hit the ladder like a marching band. Top tier trading team, raise your hands. Stacking those gains like a rock and brass band. From the pit to the porch to the island sand. We buy that dip, let the bull run stand. Top tier trading team, ring that bell. From the back row barn to the city shell. One loud shout when the profits swell. Top tier trading team, traded well. Top tier trading team, yeah, we climb that screen. From the floor to the sky, living out that dream. Oh, yeah. Top tier trading team, we're up at the bell. Hey. Coffee in a paper cup, chasing that swell. Screens glow green like a Friday dream. We ride that.
All right, guys, welcome. Welcome to this week's study hall. Let me make sure we've got everything up and running correctly. I want the sound to make sure it's good. Guys, if you have any trouble hearing me, please let me know. All right, I appreciate the feedback. Sometimes tech doesn't work exactly as smooth as we would like it to, right? Give me 1 second here. All right, from what I gather, everything is looking good. Again, guys, in the chat, please leave any kind of notification or signal if you're having any trouble either seeing and or hearing me. Give me just a sec. All right, want to make sure we're all good here. Okay, all right, well, welcome to this week's study hall. We are going to go over, obviously, what happened this week prior, which was quite interesting, and a couple of the examples that we're going to go over here today. And then, of course, we're going to gather some information and kind of go over some information about what we're going to look for next week as well. We do have some new trades to look at, as well as some trades to continue to eye down. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Give me just a moment, folks. All right. I believe we are set here. Let me check my screen. All right. Looks like we are good. All right. Well, again, welcome. I know, it's a holiday weekend, so I appreciate you guys taking the time to even get here. It's important that we take the time to kind of review the trades each week. Obviously, understand what we did right, what we did wrong, what we could do better, so on and so forth. This is always an ever-evolving game, of learning. The market is always changing, so we have to kind of be able to change with it. Now, there are some things that remain the same. Obviously, the ocean is the ocean, but the ocean has its ebbs and its flows, its tides, its currents, so on and so forth. So best to understand as best as possible before you go dipping in. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start with some of the trades that we went through last week. Now, a couple of these are really interesting because we are done and out of them, but some of them are also going to be potentially setting up for us as well. So we're going to go through those right now. First and foremost, we've got AI. Now, AI was a real nice win for us here this week. What we were waiting for, as you can see, was basically a hold of this $10.20 stop. And then as we were getting bullish action into this acceptable buy zone, which you can see we've got labeled right here from 10.55 to 11. All right. That was our signal to go long here on AI. And that's exactly what we did. We had a nice test of that stop way back here on the 3rd. All right. So what we were looking for was a retrace from this double top that we saw, all right here. And then from that retrace of $11, we wanted to see, does this 10.20 hold a second time, giving us our double bottom? And as you see, we had a slight piercing of that level. But what do we say all the time, guys? A piercing is not a confirmation of a break or a hold, right? A piercing is just a testing. So we wanted to wait. And fortunately, we were very, very patient. Because as you can see, we were at our buy zone here earlier in that week, but we were patient and wanted to wait. We'd like to get as close to our stops for our buys as possible. And that's exactly what we did here. We waited to see if that level held, and it very much did, as you can see. And we took that position on that hold, and then you can see what happened for us for the rest of the week. We went right up to our first profit target. Now, the nice thing about buying at our stops is it offers us the ability to take profit slightly earlier if we want to, before our profit target. So even though we had up here originally, you can see we had 11.50 for our first profit target, because we were patient and we bought here at our stop upon that confirmation of support, we were able to take profit off the first time, even at the top end of our buy zone, original acceptable buy zone. So we were able to take profit off here, and you can see we moved right on up to our second profit target, and then we pulled back, all right, and then we held our buy zone. We held the top end of our buy zone on this pullback, which was really nice, because then, of course, that was a great sign for a continuation, which we got. And once we got up here towards our second buy zone, well, technically our third, but originally our second target zone of 12, you could see we hit some resistance, all right, which we anticipated. This was a big move, guys. I mean, 10.20, and technically, I mean, this went down with that piercing, it went to 10, but from 10.20 all the way to 12, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's almost 20 some percent. And for an equity, that's pretty awesome. So being able to take tiers off all along the way, expecting that resistance, and then of course seeing that pullback. When you see a move like this with a candle like that, a lot of times you get these blow off moves with these blow off exhaustion moves up. It's a big, strong move up, but once it hits that resistance, you can see we just kind of eased our way down. Now, what we were looking for once we saw that we broke VWAP was to see if this 1150 hold held. Unfortunately, it didn't, as you can see, and we decided that at that point we were going to exit our last position. We had held our last tier for a runner in case there was a exit strat or a need for a continuation move, and if so, we would have ruled that up to probably that 1225 to 1250, whatever it would have stopped at, and then we could see what happened afterwards and why we tier out. Guys, this is exactly a prime example why we are not greedy, why we have profit targets to begin with. Okay, all these profit targets that we have are there to protect us. And that greed that would have said, well, what if it would have gone farther and farther? Look what would have happened had we held on to that. We were very diligent on that 1150 holding. Once we saw it didn't hold, we exited our position. And this is what happened the rest of the week. Now you can see we came all the way back down to this 1020. The question is, do we get a repeat of this same price action here? All right, a bottom, move up, a bottom, and then of course this move, right? Now, the fact that this didn't get quite as low as it did last time, it didn't get quite to 10, it actually held that 1020 very nicely. So the fact that that held just ever so slightly as a higher low is actually a reasonably decent sign that this trade may set up. Now, guys, but the fact is the move has been made already. It was a pretty decent move. So even if we do get a move back up, I wouldn't be necessarily expecting the $12 profit zone to be where I would take the bulk. And I would, having already taken a good amount of profit on these other positions, I would not take a large position here upon the hold of this level. This would be just a carry-on trade. I would get a very small tier position just to take on the way up, and then I would look for that 1150 to actually be the resistance again, and then we'll kind of see what happens from there. But that was a great trade for us on AI, guys. So if you did follow that, and again, we went over this, most of these that we're going over now, we went over last week as well. So you know, hopefully we're prepared and you're able to watch the price action and take advantage of that price action, because this is exactly what we wanted. I mean, certainly we would have liked this to have continued, but aside from that, the trade went beautifully, and following our risk management, that we talk about all the time. And guys, if you're not already a member, join us at toptiertradingteam.com. We're a private group. We go over everything we're going over here. We go over trades, we go over strategies, we go over trade plans that are specific to you. We have mentorship. We have real-time trade alerts that'll be right to your phone. So if you work, if you're at school, if you got kids and you just can't sit, whatever reason you can't sit in front of a screen all day, fine. Then you can get our trade alerts real time, and then at that point you can decide what you want to do. Obviously, everything is up to you. You risk, you trade at your own risk. We are true trading at toptiertradingteam.com. and we look forward to seeing you there. But yeah, guys, this was a perfect trade for the week. We got out just in time. Now we're going to see for the week ahead, does this set up again for us on AI? We're going to see if this 1020 holds on a second bottom. If so, nothing wrong with taking a small position and recapturing a little upside move, maybe to that 1150. And who knows, maybe we get lucky, we get to retest that $12 zone, and it goes up from there. All right. So, but you got to understand, it made a move already. It's going to be a little bit of, exhausted. So we got to be patient with that. All right. So that's AI. All right. Let's go next on our list. Next on our list was a big monster for us. This was really wonderful for us too. IONQ. We got short on IONQ this week, and another example of tier trading, really classic tier trading. On top of that, a really good example of risk management, why we take profits, why we get out, when it's, when it shows us the time to get out. Here we go. We had gotten short right here at the beginning of the week. All right, we had been looking for this 3650, all right, to act as resistance, no higher than the 37. And as you can see, it's exactly what we got here. We started the week testing that level right off the bat, and that was the perfect entry for us. Now, again, lots of times we like to get that stop tested first, right? The fact of the matter is we never did, but that's okay in this situation. And in many situations, that'll be the case. You can see the first test of this level was already here. Earlier than that, we had tested 36 and it was resistance. So the fact that we had 3650 act as resistance basically meant that this was our double top right here. Okay, so this 37 was just a little icing on the cake for our stop. And had it been tested, that would have been great. I mean, psychologically, whole numbers tend to kind of do that for people. So it's not a bad idea. But we could see it double top right there at 3650, which was perfect for us. And then we just took that short from there. And you could see each day it slowly crept down towards our first buys, our first sell zone. We had a profit target of 33.75, which we got right in there. And you can see we got a bit of resistance there, which is why we had that level. So we took that profit. Fortunately, the continuation was bearish, and we continued all the way down here, and we got to as low as 31.11. We didn't get quite to our 30. But again, what's our biggest tool, guys? Aside from these charts, these indicators, all these tools that we have, our eyes, all right, our eyes have to be like the biggest tool that we use. What is happening in front of us? And what we saw was a bounce at this level that was on reasonable volume. We closed the day on a nice move down. See this big red candle? But very first thing in the morning, we had a very large bullish buyback candle. So we exited this position right here at 31, right first thing Friday morning. Having seen that potential for also the trade line to be crossing up over VWAP, again, another bullish indication. So we decided to exit this position right here, and good thing we did, right? Look what happened. Went right up there, back into our first profit target. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean this trade is completely over. All right. But we got, close enough to our second profit target. We're going to see, does this level hold or does it act as resistance? And do we move back up to this level here? And 36 to 36.50 acts as resistance. Potentially another short that we could take as well. So IONQ, is another setup that we're going to continue to look at. And guys, we're always checking out the volume profile as we're reaching levels. As we're heading on up, if we do to this 36.50, we want to see a decrease in green candles, indications of course, a reduction in buy pressure. And of course, that would give us weakness that we could ride on back down. All right, so that's IONQ. All right, Netflix. Netflix was a nice one, guys. So we were looking at 83 to 83.50 as resistance, right? You can see this is our buy zone. Our green line was our entry. Our red was our stop. And you can see we had a nice little pop. We were buying this trade a day before this pop. And this pop moved us actually up and over. It went pretty high up there, too. I think it hit like 84. 85, and then it slowly bled down, which we've go back to our other videos, and I've said before, one indication of bearish activity is a failed bullish breakout, and vice versa. There's nothing really more bullish than a failed bearish breakout, sort of bearish breakdown. The fact that this made such a nice move and started to lose its gains rather quickly at sizable volume was an indication that this is still a good trade to take, even despite the gap up. And had you taken this trade right here at 83.50, just like we had discussed on last week's study hall, look at this move that you had all week. Look at that, right into our first profit. Oh, all these are profit targets. We were going to take profits every dollar, and figuring 80 would be likely the heaviest support and where we would end taking it. Look what happened, guys. We got all the way down here to 78. All right. So we got an extra couple dollars out of that short. And again, congratulations, guys. If you took this short on Netflix this week, all the way from up there from 83.50, and you got it all the way down to 78. Kudos to you. You guys did you got a great job. This is another one of those, take yourself or your significant other out to dinner or have a nice weekend type of trades where, you could really have taken advantage of that motion. So congrats to you on that. Now the week moving up this next week, let's find if 80 acts as resistance, because again, 80 was what we were looking for really for our last bit of profit, having taken it off these two areas before. The fact that we got down here is just the market giving us a gift, right? So we're going to see maybe this acts as resistance the week coming up. So, and if 80 acts as resistance, we find weak volume in terms of the buy pressure while that's moving into that zone, well, then you could probably ride that back down to test this here again for the second time. All right. If not, nothing wrong with being patient. And again, if that 80 breaks, and Netflix has been on a big move down. So that's one thing I would caution about Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if people started to buy some shares, particularly for the long term, not necessarily for the short term, swing trading or things like that, but long-term traders that want Netflix in their long-term portfolio, I wouldn't be surprised if they start nibbling in this zone. That being the case, you might get stronger bounces in this zone. So that's why we're going to be very careful to see if this 80 holds, but we're not going to rush it. We're going to see, and if it breaks, no big deal, because we're going to go right back to the original setup, this 83.50, to see if that acts as resistance again, in which case we could look for a move anywhere in this area. As you can see, we've got a wide range of a move to look forward to on the way back down. All right, so that's Netflix. Congratulations, guys, if you took that ride on Netflix. Palantir's been on a tear for the last week or more as well, very much like a Netflix, and it's slowed down a bit towards the end here. Let me kind of get a bigger view. As you can see, we had been looking to get into this at this 140. Let me move this up. 145, or really 147 to 150 area. Prior to that, there was this nasty little gap up that kind of, for the moment, destroyed our trade plan, because we were looking to trade it right in this zone here, and then you could see, whoop, that we just had this big move on up. Well, as you can see, that move didn't sustain. And again, what would we just say, guys? Nothing more bearish than a failed bullish breakout, right? It's exactly what we saw here with Palantir. So as Palantir came down here to retest our original stop and enter our buy zone, you could see it was just the perfect time to get into that entry. Look at that volume profile, big red candles. I'm sorry, guys, I've got a dog in the background barking. Give me 1 second. But yeah, we have all these candles. All right, and then on top of that, the price action was great. We saw VWAP obviously act as resistance for most of this move down here. All right, which was obviously gave us the confidence to continue even from this. When we were looking to get in here at 147 to 150, as you can see, our profit targets were rather tame. 145, 140, and so forth. We got a lot more capitulation than that. So we got all the way down to 125, guys. I mean, technically it's like 126, some change, but enough. So from 165 to 125, and again, we didn't take it that. If you did take it that whole way, congrats. We, our area to buy was here at 145 to 150, basically. But a great short here on Palantir this week. You can see the double bottom we had. All right, that double bottom moving on up to retest these levels up here, and then we found resistance one more time at that 145 level. Now, we were hoping to actually see another touch of that, so it would have been a little bit aggressive to get in ahead of time, especially with such a big move. I really expect it to kind of bounce a little bit more into that zone. So unfortunately, if you took it, it's there for you. We didn't take that trade, but congrats if you took that. And now look, we're bouncing right back up off of that 125 level for the second time. So I'm going to suspect that's going to be our channel for a while, guys. All right. So that channel, I'm sorry, guys, that dog's barking in the background there, is that 125 to 145. All right. That's going to be where I think we're going to move. Now, if you want to be conservative and really kind of channel trade safely, I would say 140 to 130. All right. Now, know that that's the range, but it could extend beyond to that 125. And then, of course, up to that other level as well. I'll go ahead and put a level here and mark that. Okay. 130. All right, guys. So that was what I would consider to be really the new channel that you could comfortably channel trade here on Palantir until it like really kind of shows us elsewise. Oops. Wrong one. There we go. So this red line being support, green line being resistance. I think that once this proves, which it probably will do the first thing in the next week, all right, is that this 130 is going to be support. I think you could channel trade right in here pretty safely. I wouldn't get anything if you're seeing this 135 right in the middle, but I would look for Monday if you're interested in still trading Palantir. See if this 130 holds. Okay, if 130 holds on Palantir, you could certainly look for a move on up and to retest that resistance up there at 140. All right, but remember, guys, it's made a big move down from 165, so it might want to get up there. So you want to be very careful. Make sure you have your profit targets, your stop set real tight on that, and that's for Palantir for the week moving ahead. Okay, so let me grab these last couple of charts we're going to go over. All right, so this is not the right one. There's AI all over again. Ford. Okay, hold on one second, guys. I think I have the wrong chart up. Give me just a sec. One moment, guys. Alrighty. There we go. Okay, there we go. My bad, guys. So Ford was a funky one this week too. So we'll go over that. Now, Ford had earnings, which we were anticipating some more activity out of as far as price action this week. Didn't really give us that. the earnings came out rather mixed, and so we kind of got that in terms of price action. Now, what I'm going to do before we get into this is I'm going to show you the long-term trend here, or the longer term trend. Now, each of these candles here, or I'm sorry, each of these lines here, guys, these thick blue lines represents a week, okay, of price action. So the reason I want to show you that is you can see clearly the channel that Ford has been in for some time here. And we're talking about as far back as like early December, basically. Let me see if I can. There we go. Cancel that. So like mid-December, basically 2 months. Basically 2 months. It's really been kind of in that channel. Now we've had some piercings here, and if you really want to be more exact, you could say it's been more accurately a month. But in this month or so, we've been in this channel between 1350 and 14. So let's go back out now to the 15-minute. So what we've been doing is very simply shorting at 14 and going long and getting calls at 1350, and really just been riding the back and forth between the two sides for a while. So that being the case, and we were waiting and very patient after the earnings call to see what Ford would do. And what it had done was gapped into an area that puts us in a very unique position. Instead of making kind of a final decision after that day, we had a small move down early in the week. Let me get the whole weekend. This is Monday, and earnings was Tuesday. So you see, we stayed here in this lower level of that channel between 1375 and 1350, right? And this is after the earnings call. It did this, and then it just absorbed the negative of the earnings call, and then it decided to absorb the positive of the earnings call. And you can see this move up right to the top end of that same channel. So we, having seen this action early in the week, took a call up to that 14 level, and we got rid of that call at the 14, taking a nice little day trade scalp there on that. But then you can see we haven't had really any continuation. We hit this 1438 level, came back down to obviously test a 1388, which we needed for continuation and a retest of this, which we got. And you can see we got our second resistance. And so our double top. And you can see now we're on our way back down, and likely going to go retest this 1388 and then find out at that point, what direction, if any, Ford is going to decide on. So at this point, it still hasn't. It's still in that same channel. Hasn't decided if it wanted to break to the bullish side or the bearish side. We're just going to be patient with this, guys. Eventually, Ford is going to make a decision. I suspect it'll be this week. Because of the muted action this week, I suspect this is going to be when it will happen. And of course, going into the holiday weekend, we do have a lot of less activity going into that holiday weekend, so it's not surprising. But that being said, if this action were to continue, there's nothing that says that this isn't going to be a continuation to the upside. And if we do break this 1338 level, we're going to see ourselves at 1450 to 1460. All right, so be prepared for that. Elsewise, if this level doesn't hold at 1388, okay, you could see that would be the reasons we'd head all the way down to 1350. So it's in that very unique kind of could go either way zone. So we don't like to front run, right? We like to be more conservative. We like to know what direction we're heading in. We're not gambling here. We want to ride the wave. We don't want to race against the wave, right? So we're going to wait and see. Does 1388 hold on a pullback? in which case, as you can see, for the long, that's going to act as our stop. So this is an unusual setup here this week. I know that's, I don't usually have it this way on the chart where I've got a long and a short on the same chart. But here we go. 1388 holds. All right. Then that's our signal that we can go long. And, we can at least look for a retest of that 1488. All right. Now, if we go up and say that holds and we go up and we find resistance here at 1415, and say or even if at any point we break up here on a bullish breakout attempt but we break below this 1415, well, that's testing our stop for the short. So guys, really unusual situation, you see, and all the reason why we're going to wait and see. We're just going to be patient on forward. We don't want to jump in early. We're going to just watch it. Once it decides, once we have a break of 1415 and a hold, well, we know now a break and a hold of 1415, which is our stop for the short, would allow us to know that we could go long. A breakdown of the 1388 long, and then not getting that retaken, would then be our signal to go short. So it's a little bit of a twisty turvy kind of trade here on forward. So very careful, guys. All right. Let's see. Oh, don't want to do that. We already did Netflix. Next one. We have to bring it up individually. Just a second. All right, this was Pfizer. Pfizer was another great one for us, guys. Congratulations if you took this trade. We've been able to take profit a couple times here. Looking forward to another trade with this week as well. So what we had is obviously our stop was tested. We had a breakup above our stop, a test of our stop, a move up, and then a second test. That second test was where we got our confidence to be able to take this long. All right. So we got in 2680. Once we saw that stop was held, we took our first tier, buying into strength, into our entry zone, into 27. And then you can see we were just able to get right where we wanted to. At the first bit of at our first upper level of the entry zone, we were able to take profit off. Again, one of the advantages of buying at your stop. Okay, so I'll explain this new stop in a minute here. Buying at your stop allows you to take profit off early. So we were able to take profit at first at the upper channel of our buy zone at 27.45, which you can see we got a little bit of resistance right at that level. Okay, pulled back, and what we needed on that pullback to hold was this 27.30. Exactly what it did. You see, we pulled back right to that 27.30. It was perfect, which let us hold the rest of our position. Pardon. For the continuation move, which we got. And look at that move, guys, all the way up to 27.90, in which case we took our profit off again. All right, we saw the pullback. Now on the pullback, we wanted to see this 27.45 hold, right? That's exactly what it did. Beautiful. Now this used to be blue, like our profit target. All right, this used to be a profit target, 27.45. Now the fact that second profit target for us held, okay, is what is setting us up for the next week and this trade as well. But I'm going to continue on with here. So you can see we got this double top. While we came up here, we pulled back and held, we were still holding on to our tier, right? Well, once we got up here and we double topped, saw this candle right here, I thought, yeah, that's a good time to get rid of our last piece, and that's what we did. So we tiered out completely on our Pfizer. Now, I still think Pfizer has room to go here. I wouldn't be surprised if Pfizer went up to 30 before it really stopped. Now, that being the case, it's had a fairly sizable move. It's a slow but sure kind of, stock. So, like, it's not going to get there fast. It may take the rest of the month. It may take, a couple weeks. Who knows? But the fact is, I do think it's going to go there. So I'm going to watch these levels, and it's setting up for the new trade plan, which is what I've got here set up for us as well. So now you can see I've got a new call entry. Okay, 27.45 to 27.30. All right, and that's my new stop for what I'm looking for. So this no longer is valid, but I just wanted to keep it up there for you to see the prior trade. But I will show you, I'll get rid of that now so that we only have the new trade up here. Because the guys, I won't let it get below that. Just to be clear, if the price gets below where I'm showing you right now, there's no trade. All right, 27.30 has to hold. All right, 27.30 does not hold. Then there's no more trade here on Pfizer. But the trade that we're looking at for Pfizer is very simple. 27.30 is our stop. 27.45 is up to our acceptable entry, right in this zone. And then we're simply looking for 27.90 to be our profit targets. And then, of course, we'd love to have continuation from there, but we're going to keep our expectations tempered, right? We're not here to gamble. We're here to make money, so we're going to keep it tempered. And then we're going to see what goes from there. All right, so that's Pfizer, and that's what we're looking for moving forward and what we had for this week. That was a great trade here for us, guys. All right, we have two more to go over. Let me get to it. There we go. TLT is our other trade. Get that up here. Oh, excuse me. 1 second, guys. Give me one moment. Huh. Okay. Well, for some reason, the levels are not on this chart here for us, guys. So I'm going to need 1 minute. No big deal. It's just going to take me a second to put it on here. All right. 1 moment. My apologies. I don't know why this chart isn't already up here, but it is what it is, guys. It'll only take me a moment, or maybe a few moments. Go grab your coffee or your tea or your lemonade or whatever you need. Man. All right. And really, this is very simple. It's not like, let's do that. Almost there. Shoot. All right, guys. Sorry about that, but here we are. And oh, why didn't it write it? All right. Last but not least, guys. All right. So for some reason that happened, but here we go. Simple on this trade too with TLT. We're simply looking for this 88.50 to hold. All right, 89 to 88.50 is our entry zone. And then we're looking for a move all the way up to 90. All right, 90 is our profit target. Not sure what that is. Like that, but we'll fix that. Oh. Oh boy. I'll tell you what, guys, for an ex-transcriptionist, I can not type today. I think I turned dyslexic this morning. There we go. So that's pretty simple, guys. TLT, we're simply looking for 88.50 to 89 to hold. And then we're looking for profit at 90. All right. I think we've got a bullish formation here. We've got a lot of catalysts that are going to drive TLT, I think. And what I'm looking for is more of a long-term swing trade on this. Again, nothing here is financial advice. I always myself get long-term dated expirations because I don't like to get caught up in theta. I'm looking at least March 20th for this one. All right, so that's at least a month out, but I'm looking at the $90 calls. So long as 88.50 holds on a pullback on Monday, that's my signal. All right, we get a pullback. I mean, we're already really nicely tucked into that area right now at 89.72. I think because of this move back, you can see. I mean, really, you could even start nibbling at 89.25, but I like to really test levels. All right, so I want to see that pullback on Monday, and if we see that pullback right into that zone, and we see extra, support here, which I think we're going to get. These are decent moves, and if you look at the stair stepping, that's pretty strong. Those are strong bullish signs right there. So I think that we have a good trade here, but I do think it needs a pullback because it's been moving so much as well. You can see this is not the first day it's been moving, and things can't move in straight lines at all times, clearly. So considering I want to be careful, it's easy to get to a point where something gets exhausted, you get caught on the wrong side. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of a head and shoulders formation either. That's why this level holding is really important, because if this level does not hold, well, technically you're formed a head and shoulders formation. As you can see, left shoulder, head, but you don't want that right shoulder here. You don't want that. You want it to be up here, which would give us the indication we could go up. So, which would then not make it a head and shoulders formation anymore. You know what I mean? We don't want any more of this formation. I apologize. So that's what we're looking at, guys, with TLT. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, TLT. So that's pretty cut and dry there on TLT. All right, 88.50 to 89 holds. We're good. We're gonna get a call, and we're looking for 90, looking for the 90 call, and going out pretty, about a month or more. All right, so we'll get to our last one, which Last but not least, Walmart. All right, guys. So we're looking at this Walmart trade for next week. Okay. What we would like to see is a pullback and a test of this 131, which is our stop. Okay. We love to buy at our stop, right? That stop holds and we see strength. We buy into the strength into our buy zone, and that is 131.75, obviously to 132.75. And then we're looking for profits up here at 134.50. Very simple. You can see we're getting a bit of resistance already up at that zone. So what we're looking for is just simply the pullback to test these levels. And so long as these levels are held, that 131 stop, then we're good for our call all the way up to that 134.50. Okay. And so that's what we're looking for this week on Walmart, guys. All right. Very cut and dry, very simple there. And, it's something we could look forward to. And essentially, guys, that is it for the study hall. And any questions you have about these trades, any questions you have about any other tickers that you're looking into, obviously you know how to get a hold of me. Contact me directly. As you know, as a member, you could just simply text me and we'll go over whatever. Um, but yeah, absolutely, guys. This is going to be a great week. We had a great week this week. Let's just continue that trend that we're on. All right. Let me see if we've got any questions that I can answer. We'll get to those. All right, guys. Any questions about the trades we're looking at for this week? Please leave it in the chats.
opening bell. Coffee in my cup and a story to tell. Candle on the screen, got a tail in the wick. Wrist tight, mind right, pulling that trigger quick. Green Day grin with a country draw. Blues in my past, now I'm watching it fall. Rocking my spine, reggae swaying my seat. Top tier trading team, bringing that heat. Hey! Top tier trading team, we ride that wave from the red to the green, from the fear to the brave. Charts look mean, but we still don't cave. We just dance through the drawdown, pockets to save. Top tier trading team, turn the ground to a dream. High tide, high vibe, the rocket stream. Every bell, every bar, we're a laser beam. Top tier trading team. Top tier trading team. Calls on a runner, puts for the slide. Cover my downside, let the upside glide. Stop, set, snug, so the loss stays small. Win big, lose small, that's the name of the call. Pivot at support, let the lose. Rocking the street, let the compound grow. From the laptop glow to the rocking the street. We sing about spreads like a Fox Run hymn. Oh yeah, top tier trading team. We ride that away from the red to the green, from the fear to the brave. Charts look mean, but we still don't cave. We just dance through the drawdown, pockets to save. Top tier trading team, turn the grind to a dream. High tide, high vibe, let the profits stream. Every bell, every bar, we're a laser beam. Top tier trading team. Top tier trading team. Who you call when the candles shake? Who you roll with when the floor might break? When the line pulls back, but your hands stay clean. Sing it out loud. Yeah, you know that team. We got rock in the heart, reggae in the soul. Country grit driving every goal. Blues in the past, now we break that chain. Top 10 train team in the fast lane. Hey, top tier trading team. We ride that away from the red to the green, from the fear to the brave. Charts look mean, but we still don't cave. We just dance through the drawdown, pockets to save. Top tier trading team, turn the grind to a dream. High, high, high vibe, let the profits stream. Every bell, every bar, we're a laser beam. Top tier trading team. Top tier trading team. Raise that screen. Top tier trading team. Living the trader's dream. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. We're running up that chart. Boots on the floor at the opening bell. Coffee in my cup.